Hello, good morning and welcome to Joy News Desk. We're live on DSTV channel 421, Go TV channel 125. Across all our social media handles, we're Joy News on TV. Coming up, Supreme Court to rule on Richard Delasky and Dr. Amanda Odoi's application for an interlocutory injunction against the transmission of the anti-gay bill to the presidency by Parliament. We're live in court for all the details. Also, Abuaze Power Enclave and other state installation risk being wiped out by the sea. We'll tell you why. And residents of Kumewu and Fomena in the Ashanti region excited at the quality of infrastructure and health service delivery at two hospitals in the areas recently operationalized. My name is Faustina Safo. Take a seat, be my guest for details of the stories plus business within the next 60 minutes. Thanks for choosing us. Now, the Supreme Court is set to rule on Richard Delasky and Dr. Amanda Odoi's application for an interlocutory injunction against the transmission of the anti-gay bill to the presidency by Parliament. While the panel is expected to determine whether to bar Parliament from transmitting the bill to the presidency for its assent or otherwise, the five-member panel, chaired by the Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonum, will not undertake a composite ruling. Well, we'll be live in the Supreme Court for details in a jiffy. But first, let's run you through how we got here. On your screens now are a few details of the Supreme Court ruling and why we are here. Now, the applicant's case, let's start from Dr. Amanda Odoi. These are the three key reasons why she went to court. One, to restrain the speaker and clerk until substantive matter determination. Two, claims irreparable damage of injunction is not granted, and also asserts bill violates several constitutional articles. Now, what's the Attorney General's argument? The Attorney General is arguing that the bill violates Article 108 of the 1992 Constitution, and that's what happened in court last week. The back and forth in court was about the bill and if it violates Article 108 of the 1992 Constitution. Now, we know that the Attorney General is also arguing that the conditions for entertaining the bill, if we just go back to that slide before we come back to Tadia Sori's story, we know that the Attorney General is also arguing that the conditions for entertaining the bill in Parliament were not met. And also, they are seeking to declare the bill an nullity. So that's why they're in court. The Attorney General is raising this argument. Just last week, we brought you the live footage from court proceedings. Let's move on to the next slide. Now, Tadia Sori in court last week argued that there is no harm to applicant if the injunction is refused and the application is repetitive, and then the injunction would usurp legislative powers. Richard Delasky's case, he's arguing that the absence of fiscal impact analysis for the bill is a key concern he raised. His lawyers raised that in court last week. Now, he's also seeking to restrain the Speaker and clerk from presenting the bill on the floor. Another key concern Richard Delasky has is that he's seeking to restrain the President from assenting the bill, citing constitutional violations. And that's a key concern, wondering if the processes Parliament went through before even coming up with this bill was right, because he argued that there's a violation of Article 108 of the 1992 Constitution, and they'll be in courts today to finalize on that. Let's move on to the next slide. Now, the Attorney General in court also argued that the bill should be stayed until the final determination of the suit. So that's the key concerns. Just a background about the case, if you've not been following the case, those are some of the key concerns. Now, what happens if injunction is granted? That's the concern most people have. Parliament will be temporarily barred from transmitting the bill to the president for assent or dissent. And that's why today's case is quite key. Now, this is until substantive case of constitutionality is decided. So the concern as to if there's a breach of the, Article 108 of the 1992 Constitution would be denied today. Now, what happens if this injunction is denied? The bill can then proceed to the presidency, and then he would decide if he would assent or dissent to the bill, because this is one of the key concerns he raised. He raised concerns that because there are legal cases in court yet to be determined, he cannot receive the bill to even decide to assent or not assent. And that's why the case in court is quite crucial. So let's get some more perspective on this in subsequent bulletin, because my colleague Richard Kojoyanko would be in court and will give you details as at when we have it. Now, residents of Kumewu and Fomna in the Ashanti region are excited at the quality of infrastructure and health service delivery at 2 hospitals in the areas recently operationalized. Now, the Setre Kumewu and Adansi North District hospitals, which together provided 240 beds, opened to the public a few months ago after a 10-year jail wait. Now, Ohim Interior of our health desk has been following this story and the story about stalled projects in the Ashanti region. He filed this report.
On 7 hospital projects, including Adansi North and Setre Kumewu district hospitals. The district hospitals in Dodowa, Sekendi Takrady, Garu and Abitifi complete the list. The Setre Kumewu district hospital started operations on April 15, 2024, while the Adansi North district hospital commenced operations on November 6, 2023. Fred Su is executive chairman of NMS Infrastructure Limited.
But this is also not just a centre for health, but a centre of employment. And I think that's where one of its greatest values lies. And what we in NMS are focusing on doing is delivering healthcare, education facilities, clean water, and jobs in agriculture.
Residents traveled long distances for referral services or to receive medical attention in ramshackle temporary facilities until recently. They say doing this endangered their lives. Ama Afrakoma, a resident of Fomina in the Adansi North District, is one of them.
My husband returned from UK and insisted everyone visit and rest at this British Standard Hospital. According to him, the hospital compares to what they have abroad. Even before I saw the doctor, I was healed just by the sight of the hospital environment. The hospital environment is very neat and clean, possessing a spirit of healing. All I can say is that may God bless the contractors for this beautiful edifice.
Nana Ofori Ajamai, the chief linguist for Adansi Hini, says the operationalization of the Adansi North District Hospital will stop needless deaths linked to referrals to the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital or Bekwai Hospital. According to him, the new Adansi Hospital is better built.
The benefits from this new hospital are enormous. It goes beyond Adansiman. We used to patronize a clinic in the absence of the hospital. We are then referred to Benito and then to either Bekwai or Komfanochi Hospital. Patients, many a time, die on their way during such referrals. Those of us coming from Tebeso, Bojisango, Abosamso are happy this new hospital has been opened in Fomina. I think the Fomina hospital looks better than the Komfanochi hospital in terms of design. For a moment, one may assume you've entered an airport, but it is a hospital.
The Adansi North District Hospital has since seen 2,100 hospital admissions, 470 deliveries, including 150 caesarean sections, and 228 minor and major procedures. Dr. Abena Yorsin is the medical superintendent.
We've done about 2,100 hospital admissions since inception, a total of about 470 deliveries. And out of that, about 350 were vaginal deliveries. We've done cesarean section of almost about 150. We've also done other surgeries in total, other major surgeries in total, 209 minor surgeries.
The Sechirekumawu District Hospital, on the other hand, 370 outpatient department patients per day and has already documented 100 major procedures, all of which were referrals from surrounding hospitals. From Puma, a 38-year-old mother of 7 and a regular client of the Old Kumawu Polyclinic delivered her 7th child at the newly constructed Sechirekumawu District Hospital. She was cuddling her newly delivered male child here at the time of our visit.
I am a client of the Old Kumewu Polyclinic. 4 of my children were delivered there until recently when they opened this new hospital. I just delivered at the new facility. Nurses and everybody here acted professionally. It is safer to deliver here than the old hospital which lacked space. This place is very neat.
Her account is supported by the mother of 3, Dora Ajay, who thinks the neatly built hospital could compare many women to give birth.
This hospital looks nice. The more emphasis you place on this modern facility, the more tempted one will give birth here.
The Health Minister, Dr. Bernard Okoboy, has commended NMS Infrastructure Limited for the provision of quality infrastructure.
It was a design, construction, equipping that came with its funding. It has all the ingredients of a fit-for-purpose primary healthcare facility, which means that almost everything that must be done when it comes to the basic things in health can be handled here.
Medical Superintendent of Sechirekumawu District Hospital speaks highly of the link between quality infrastructure and healthcare delivery.
What we have here is a 120-bed capacity hospital. You know, we were in a polyclinic where we have roughly 40 beds, but even that, the beds were so close that it was so uncomfortable for patients and staff. Staff are now more comfortable, the space, talk about privacy for the patients, all those things have improved significantly. And you look at the environment, both external and internal environment, I think it's something that people talk about a lot. This is, a great work that has been done here.
Meanwhile, authorities at the Sechirekumawu District Hospital have scheduled the month of July for free surgical care for clients. For Joy News, Ohime Interior reporting.
Thankfully, Ohime Interior joins us live via Zoom with more on this story. We know that the president is set to commission the 2 facilities later today. Ohime, what can you report?
Firstly, the commissioning event is scheduled for 2 p.m. today, and the 2 facilities commissioning will be done today. Formina will be done first, and then followed by the Sechirekumawu District Hospital. It comes with a sort of excitement for residents in these catchment areas who have had to wait for several years before these facilities were completed. And for them, they are looking forward to today's event, hoping that this will also open more avenues for these facilities to operate fully, because the 2 facilities, the Kumewu and that for Formina, have not been operating fully. So they hope that after the commissioning, more personnel will be posted to man these facilities and also provide them the needed health care delivery services that they need. And for residents of Formina and Sechirekumawu, it has come at the right time, at the time that many of them think that it is time to end referrals to Kompanoche or the Kwai Hospital, Asante Mampong, and then also the Kompanoche Hospital as well for these two catchment areas.
Now, Ohime, you follow this story right from when these facilities were not operational. Tell us how far we've come.
I would say that these facilities, their construction were suspended for several years. Don't forget the agreement between Government of Ghana through the Ministry of Health and NMS Infrastructure Limited, the British firm, were signed in 2012. So it has been over 10 years now when residents of these catchment areas, Pomina, Dansen North, and then Sechekumau districts have had to wait for the completion of these projects. I remember somewhere along the line when MPP took over the reins of government, they ordered audit into these facilities and they delayed the projects in that matter. So for so many years now, they've had to, contend with what they call ramshackle facilities at these areas, clinics, and they had to also follow up with referrals to Kompanoche and then the other district hospitals outside their catchment area. So for them, it's a day come through for them to witness this whole commissioning project. Just that before the commissioning, the facilities were opened and they were operationalized about 2 months ago. So seeing the commissioning today is a day that all residents of Sechekumau and Pomina have been looking forward for.
We'll come back to you in subsequent bulletin when that official commissioning happens. Let's do some other stories now. You're watching Joy News today. Now, we're talking about the Aboase Power Enclave, which produces 730 megawatts of Ghana's electricity and other state installation, because it risks being wiped out by the sea. We'll tell you why. Because the Ghana Meteorological Hydrological Authority has issued a warning which says that this devastation will be catastrophic if immediate protection and protective measures are not being taken to protect some of these facilities. There's more in this report by Adubi Asare.
The Ghana Hydrological Authority says it has now become urgent for the country to protect the threatened institutions or lose them.
So along our coastal stretch, we have different or varying levels of vulnerability. We have varying levels of vulnerability. So at one end, we are losing as much as 1.3 meter per year to the coast.
They include the St. Augustine's College, the University of Cape Coast, the Cape Coast Nursing and Midwifery College. Also under threat is the Accra, Cape Coast and Cape Coast Takoradi stretch of the N1 highway, all in the central region.
The college is in Cape Coast, and we have the Cape Coast Takoradi Road, very, very much at risk. We have St. Augustine's College. If any of you went to St. Augustine's, I have to pray that we can do this work very quickly. Otherwise, in a couple of years' time, St. Augustine's will disappear from the surface of the earth. We have Cape Coast Central Hospital nearby as well.
In the western region, the Aboase Power Enclave, where the Takoradi Power Plant and the Twin Energy Station are located, will all be affected.
We have a Aboase Enclave where we have a power plant that is at risk. The sea is very close to the power plant.
In the Greater Accra region, Dansoman, Ningo Pram, the Denu Aflao Highway, as well as some communities in the Volta region, all face the threat.
So that is Dansoman, and you will see, these are recent photos showing properties being lost. Dansoman particularly, the sea is very close to the road. And if nothing is done shortly, we will lose the road to the sea, along with all the houses sitting next to the road.
Some work is already underway to protect threatened communities, but the Hydrological Authority says the country will have to find $200 million to build coastal defense systems to avert a possible destruction of these communities. Adobia Asari for Joy News, Accra.
Well, Ivy Sechaji joins us live from Keta. Ivy, we know that a community in the Volta region which has had to deal with the flooding caused by the sea in recent times is Keta. Tell us what the situation in your area is currently.
Well, most of the communities around the coastal areas have been affected greatly. We are talking about Uveme. At least almost half of the place is washed away. Also, Bokbobo, that's in the Anglogat district, is almost gone to the sea. And most of the places in these areas, Anglogat district, Keta districts, and Ketu South, all these places, most of the communities have been lost to the sea. And now, businesses have been affected, especially fishing activities have been affected in those areas. I am currently at Keta, where the Villa Amon and Aborigine hotels are located. And when you come to these areas, you realize that the tidal is really, really affected the buildings there, especially some of the beach resorts in that area. Properties have been affected, and also fishing activities is not doing very well. Residents are asking government, they've been asking this for years now, to immediately start the construction of sea defense walls to protect the coast right from these areas. That's from Anyani, Pokpogbo, Kuveme to Ketu South, so that they don't experience these issues again. But according to residents, they are not sure this will be done, because if this is not done as early as possible, trust me, most of the places will be destroyed. The hotels in these areas will be destroyed because it has already started, and most people have lost their properties into the sea. We spoke with some of the residents this morning around the beach, and they had this to say.
We are really at risk here along the coast, and our fears are very high because in the past 2-3 years, the way the tidal waves and the sea erosion is eroding portions of the land is becoming alarming. If nothing is done about it, we need to lose greater portion of the coastal lands and the coastal infrastructure.
What do you suggest, Mr.?
I suggest that a comprehensive sea defense project be done between Kuveme to Aplau area. You know, the areas affected are from Kuveme, Pokpogbo, Anyanui, Jita, Atiteti, and to Keta, to now Salakopo, Agaveji, Adina area. So it's a long stretch of coastal land that is suffering from the coastal erosion.
A lot of property has been lost so far, and then the fish shuffles, it really affects them, their khakis, and then most of the time, you know, when it's eroded into the community, you realize that there are a lot of dumping sites in the community, and this thing goes back into the sea, and then they ended up catching them as fish. So the catch normally goes down when these things happen. So yes, it affects the fish shuffles and then the
Well, also joining us is Deputy Executive Director of Arocha Ghana, Darabon. So thank you for your time here on Newsdesk. This is some disturbing news, I guess, for you.
Yes, good morning, and thank you for having me. Yes, I think it's very disturbing to hear what is happening, but I believe also that, I mean, these things we have already foreseen that they were going to happen, because as you know, the impacts and the vulnerabilities that communities are exposed to as a result of climate change is being felt all around the world, and particularly the risks associated with the increasing sea level rising is even more at hand. And I think that hearing about this, I am not really surprised. So you see, Ghana has got roughly over 500 kilometer coastal line, and if you look at the way and manner we are managing it, it's been quite ad hoc. We've not really had a deliberate, I would say, management system in place to ensure that we secure the coastal line. And so you are likely to have some of these risks that even infrastructure, key infrastructure for the state and the people of Ghana is being exposed to. So until we really take action to start seeing our coastal areas as really fundamental, because it's only about communities that are being exposed, and as you heard the Honorable Okujeto Abakwa speak on the issue, it's really imminent that we really start taking steps to protect our coastal areas. We can't run away from it now. Yeah.
You've been championing community and climate change for a long time. Isn't this the climate simply fighting back because of how bad we have treated it?
Yes, some processes have already been initiated as a result of climate change, and it's very difficult to really hold them back. So we really need to start adapting as a nation to some of these risks. It's already happening. There's very little we can do apart from adapting and also ensuring that we have in place some solutions. There's been solutions you see in certain areas. They're talking about sea defense walls and all of that. We have some other solutions have been on securing our coastal vegetation like the mangroves. All of these things are very, very important. But I think what is even more needed now is for Ghana to really take adaptation more seriously and see how we can protect communities that are dotting some of these coastal areas. Because, now the risk is here. We might as well get used to it that it's going to keep coming every year. Research shows that every year we are losing about 2 meters of our coastal area to the sea level, and the sea is claiming 2 meters of our coastal area. So it means that it's going to get worse over the years, and we need to start preparing for it. So I think, for me, it's a wake-up call that if we are seeing state infrastructure, key infrastructure being affected, communities have already been affected for a long time, communities in Creta area, hotel facilities and all of that have been washed away and all of that. Now it's getting to a state, and maybe that will give all of us a wake-up call for us to start really acting on behalf of not just the state infrastructure, but also on behalf of community, because this is an opportunity. And I know the Environmental Protection Agency is taking some steps through adaptation measures to help address this. But I think we need far-reaching effort and also intervention that maybe we have on the ground now.
Suggest to us what are some of these far-reaching efforts that government can put in place, because we know that this is here to stay. We know that moving forward would have to be extremely cautious. But then for residents and people along this coastal lines who would be affected, what do you suggest government do moving forward?
Yes, I think for me, what I want to propose is that, and I think a bit of it is happening already, is that we really need to pay attention to re-engineering our coastal communities and all of that, taking into consideration some of the nature-based solutions like the mangroves, activities like sand winning. There needs to be a very concerted national effort to really start protecting our seashores and our coastal areas against sand winning activities, which already exposes our coastal areas so much that any intervention you put in place is not even successful. So we really need to re-engineer our coastal area. We need to re-engineer how waste from the inland area goes to also erode the coastal areas and all of that. And even building infrastructure along the coast and some of the development in the oil and gas sector all spreading around the coastal areas. We know about the petroleum hub in the mine area within very prime coastal and mangrove ecosystems and all of that. We really need to put in a lot of planning and a lot of engineering to start securing our coastal areas. Otherwise, and when the sea really rises so much, we are all going to be found wanting.
Thank you for joining us here on News
you.
6, Darryl. Let's take you back to court, because we know that a 5-member panel chaired by the Chief Justice, Gertrude Torkornoo, would be sitting to hear on the controversial anti-gay bill. We know that our colleague Richard Kojo-Yankon is live in court. Let's cross over for further details. Richard, what can you report?
So what I can report is that today we're all expecting that a decision will be made by the Supreme Court on whether or not the anti-gay bill, could be transmitted from Parliament to the presidency. In fact, that was one of the bone of contention today. But we were all waiting for the ruling, and in their decision, they said that they have deferred their decision, and so no decision as of yet has been taken by the Supreme Court. What they have done is a composite judgment involving the application for injunction that was filed by Dr. Amanda Odoi and journalist and lawyer Richard Delaskai. They were seeking to injunct Parliament from transmitting the anti-gay bill to the presidency. In fact, their contention was that the bill was not properly brought to Parliament because it was sponsored by a private member or private members. And so on that basis, it breaches Article 108 that specifies that any bill that purports to place some burden on the consolidated fund or on our funds, that bill should emanate from the presidency. And in this case, and on the anti-gay bill, this bill was going to be a border on the consolidated fund, and so it ought to have been brought to Parliament by the presidency, but it is not. So when the five-panel members, the five-panel member Supreme Court sat today, chaired by Chief Justice, they said that it will better serve the interest of justice should they defer this decision and rather opt for an early trial and expedited one so that they can put the decision together, both the substantive one and the injunction application decision together, and give their verdict. And so that is what we have done. Now, one of the questions that remain unanswered is that once the thing is this way, can Parliament now transmit the bill to the presidency, knowing very well that this injunction application to actually bar Parliament from transmitting the bill to the presidency has not been granted or has not also been thrown away? And so that is the question that many people are asking themselves today. So the court is still sitting. We are waiting for for the court session to come to an end. Then we can put these questions to the Attorney General and the lawyers whether at this stage Parliament can transmit the bill to the President.
Thank you, Richard Kojo-Yankon. We'll be monitoring the situation and come to you as at when you have updates. Still in the courts, the Wa High Court will continue the trial of prime suspect Eliezer Mahama and two others on their alleged involvement in the killing of CEO of Jirapa Dubai, Eric Johnson. We know that the supervising Wa High Court Judge, Justice Yusuf Asibe, announced to the court that the Chief Justice has asked that the case continues in the Wa High Court. Correspondent Rafiq Salam reports from Wa.
Justice Gertrude Arabatokonu, in a letter addressed to the court, ordered for the transfer of the case from the Wa High Court to a High Court in Kumasi, following a petition from the mother of the first accused, Eliezer Mahama. That fiat by the Chief Justice infuriated and angered the people of the Upper West region, especially close family members and friends. The Wa High Court was on the verge of starting the trial when the order from the Chief Justice came in. The supervising Wa High Court Judge, Justice Yusuf Asibe, therefore kept the trial on hiatus to enable him verify from the Chief Justice the authenticity or otherwise of the letter. Justice Yusuf Asibe announced to the court that the Chief Justice has rescinded her decision and asked that the case be continued at the Wa High Court. Principal State Attorney, Lawyer Said Abdul Shakur, was grateful to the Chief Justice for the latest order.
It's not about emotions, excitement or anything. It's about the justice of the case. What it is that I indicated earlier that most of the witnesses are resident in Wa, and that we have had cases that, very tough cases in Wa, that emotions were so high. Yet we tried it, and the Chief Justice has just done what is very good for even the image of the judiciary and for us, because the impression that was out there was that there was an attempt to, as it were, truncate the justice processes. So now the message is sent clearly to everybody who is prepared to listen that there's no attempt whatsoever to truncate these things, and that justice will be served, and that we believe in the power of the state's cases.
In court for the first time was 84-year-old biological father of the slain owner of Yoruba Dubai, Gerald Jimena. He was happy with the decision of the Chief Justice for the case to be tried in Wa.
Because it's here the case happened. You see, it was here the case happened. Yeah. And well, I'm happy about it because it is here. So the finish and I'll do what is here. You see, yeah.
Okay. You have a lot of memories about Eric, your son. How do you feel?
In fact, what am I going to say? I think I can't explain how I'm.
Some other natives of Yoruba also share their thoughts on the issue.
And all that. I think that here we can be rest assured of fair trial. We can be rest assured of a judicial and a expeditious, trial of the case. So there's not going to be any fear anymore. I think that the Chief Justice has done well. We congratulate on that, and then we congratulate the Jirapa community and the Upper West community at large for standing behind this. Going forward, we'll encourage more people to always appear in their numbers and be able to give them support so that our late brother Eric Johnson will get a fair trial and justice served.
The case has been adjourned to Thursday, July 18, where they will start with a case management conference. Reporting for Dre News, Rafik Salam. Wow.
You think that you are guilty? You think that you are guilty? You think that you are guilty?
Bulletin. We're still watching Johnny 6. We're taking a quick breather. We'll be back with business.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. The Economic, Social and Cultural Council, an organ of the African Union, is calling for the speedy ratification of the Free Movement Protocol under the African Continental Free Trade Area. Osei head of programs at the Council, urged civil society organizations to advocate the full approval of the protocol to ensure the continent achieves its dream of free trade. He spoke at a press briefing ahead of the dialogue on AFTA.
The overall mandate of the African Continental Free Trade Area is to create a single continental market with a population of about 1.3 billion people and a combined gross domestic product of approximately $3.4 trillion. Thus, it creates the world's largest free trade area, comprising 55 countries. As part of its mandate, the AFTA is to eliminate trade barriers and boost intra-Africa trade. However, a significant number of member states are yet to ratify the Free Movement Protocol, which promotes unrestricted movement of goods and services amongst member states. Osei, head of programs at the Economic, Social and Cultural Council, an organ of the African Union, called for speedy ratification of the protocol. He spoke at a press briefing ahead of a dialogue on the role of civil society organizations in accelerating the implementation of the AFTA.
CSOs can absolutely advocate for the ratification and domestication of the Free Movement Protocol because it's a structural component of the single market. And so we can definitely focus on advocating with our member states so that they can sign the Free Movement Protocol. A lot of our member states are already doing some level of free movement anyway, but we want the majority, to sign the document. We need 15 ratifications for the protocol to go into effect. We only have 4.
Omolara Balogun, head of policy influencing and advocacy at the West African Civil Society Institute, called for increased awareness to ensure the full implementation of the Continental Free Trade Agreement.
One of the main challenges that we have seen in the implementation of AFCTFA is that even within the different policy sectors, from government to immigration to customs, there's a lot of knowledge gap. So if you really want to have direct, first-hand experience, just try to take a trip between from Ghana border to Togo, Togo to Benin Republic to Nigeria. You see a lot of extortions taking place by supposed, machineries of the state.
The maiden dialogue on the role of civil society organizations in accelerating the implementation of AFTA will be held in partnership with the West African Civil Society Institute and the AFTA Policy Network.
Now, as part of its 50th anniversary, the Institute of Public Relations Ghana says it will be focusing on how to communicate ethically and effectively during the election period to create values for communities. According to President of the Institute, Esther Koba, there is the need to create awareness about the importance of effective communication to sustain peace before, during, and after the December general elections. Speaking during a courtesy call on the government chair, Esther Koba said that the Institute will educate the public on effective communication devoid of insults and misinformation.
As we celebrate our anniversary, our 50th anniversary, our theme is public relations for value creation. When you work with public relations people, you speak, but what you say is understood better. We create value for individuals. We create value for organizations. We create value for communities. So this year, we are demonstrating to the world, to Ghana, to Africa, to the world, what value we bring. So that is our theme for the year. For the full year of celebration. But this year is an election year. And we want to demonstrate to Ghana that no politician can be elected without them communicating to the people who they want to elect them. There can be no political campaign without communication.
All right, and that's it for this segment. Faustina will be back in a bit.
For spending the past 60 minutes with us. My name is Faustina Safa. For more news, please log on to myjoyonline.com. Have a pleasant day as you enjoy the rest of our programs.